Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is Spencer Walsh. We got a great one for you today. On the show, we are talking about two new breaking and developing stories. The collapse of the migrant system, Israel's new conservative majority, the Brexit debate as it continues to go on. New Brexit the Brexit leaders now have a new deadline, October 31st, and we're going to be talking about the possibility of spying on, like the Trump campaign actually being spied on. So, that is what William Barr said, and we're going to have to obviously look at whether it's true or not, but yeah, because that's a whole different thing entirely. But yeah, we're going to start at the top with two new breaking stories. As Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks founder, was arrested today and removed from the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he has lived since 2012. This is it is disturbing. So I think, again, I definitely think this guy kind of qualifies as a whistleblower. Obviously, he's founded WikiLeaks. He's done an incredible amount of good work. In terms of, but he's obviously also very controversial for leaking the Hillary Clinton emails. Lenin Moreno of Ecuador said on Twitter that his country had taken the decision to revoke his asylum status after the repeated violations of international conventions and daily life protocols, a decision that cleared the way for British authorities to detain him. So that's something we really don't know much about. Like what were those violations to international conventions and daily life protocols? I did hear something I remember about how he was like being incredibly messy in his house or whatever it was. Yes, the U.S. Justice Department has filed criminal charges against Assange related to the publication of classified documents, a fact that prosecutors accidentally made public in November. So, yeah, I mean, you can only matter that Assange would be expelled from the embassy. You can only assume that, he's now arrested. He's probably going to be maybe even sent back to Britain. Or to the United States. He's in Britain now, and it's very possible that, I think, what's the charge the UK gave against him? I don't know. Yeah, he did jumping bail is what it was. And the Metropolitan Police said in a statement that Assange had been arrested by officers at the embassy on a warrant issued by the Westminster Magistrates Court in 2012 for failing to surrender to the court. Assange is also suspected of aiding Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election by releasing material stolen from computers of the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things here, whether it comes down to speech violation, a whole host of different things. So that's going to be a debate to really watch for. But all you need to know now, Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks founder, the man behind a lot of very, very important leaks about the government, not just the Russian interference story, but a lot of other very important leaks that helped us understand some of the more shady stuff that the government was doing. He's been arrested now, and it'd be interesting to see what happens to him and how the government treats him. But I think it'd be very important here, at least in my opinion, to protect whistleblowers. Also, another developing story is Sudan's military is expected to make an important announcement today. Protests against the rule of Omar Hassan al-Bashir have engulfed the nation. There had been warnings for years that the American immigration system was on the brink of failure as well. The moment now may have arrived as the country is now failing to provide either necessary humanitarian relief or basic controls on the number and nature of who comes in. So yeah, it's not working. People have utterly failed. People have literally utterly failed in this system at this point. With a current pace of nearly 100,000 migrants a month, officials say that more than 1 million people will have tried to enter the country in a 12-month period. The flow of migrants has reached record levels as we cut off aid to those countries that the migrants are in majority coming from, and as many as 27,000 children are expected to arrive in just April. That's crazy. So it's at a breaking point, pretty much breaking point levels at this point. So just a description here from the New York Times. The migrants come now in the middle of the night or in the bright light of day. Men and women arrive by the hundreds, caked with dirt, teens and toddlers in tow. They jump the small fences in remote parts of Texas. They gather on the hot pavement of the main border crossing in California. Tired and fearful, they look for one thing that they will pray will allow them to stay in the United States, at least for a while: a Border Patrol agent. Gone are the days when the young, strong men waited on the Tawana River levees for the chance to wade across the water, evade capture, and find work for the summer. These days, thousands of people today simply walk up to the border and surrender. And that's the thing that they don't try to hide really anymore. That's what's kind of taken away a lot of the violence of the border. Instead, these people, they are seeking to escape violence from gang violence, sexual abuse, death threats, persistent poverty, stuff like that. The smugglers have been told that they will be quickly released as long as they bring a child, and that they will be allowed to remain in the United States for years while they pursue their asylum cases. Have told them. That's what they've told them. Talking about the migrants, but the very nation of immigration to America has changed after 2014 when families first began showing up in large numbers. The resulting crisis has overwhelmed the system, unable to detain, care for, and quickly decide the fate of tens of thousands of people who have claimed to be fleeing for their lives. And that's, again, the kind of unhealthy skepticism. It's reaching a point where it's unhealthy, but I think just the insane amounts of skepticism that Trump has proved and shown against these people trying to come across the border who are actually really fleeing a lot. And he fails to understand how the system and circumstances around this issue have changed so much and so incredibly, especially over the past few years, with tensions in those countries getting worse and the kind of power vacuum just kind of through into motion getting just absolutely destroyed. The moment really now has arrived. The country is now unable to provide either necessary humanitarian relief for desperate migrants or even basic controls on the number and nature of who is entering the United States. It's pretty incredible. The immigration courts now have more than 800,000 pending cases, and each one takes an average of 700 days to process. And because laws and court rulings aimed at protecting children prohibit jailing young children for more than 20 days, families are often simply released. They're dropped off at downtown bus stations. Places like Brownsville, Texas, where dozens last week sat on gray metal benches, most without money or even laces on their shoes, heading for destinations across the U.S. So at the current pace of nearly 100,000 migrants each month, officials say more than 1 million people will have tried to cross the border in a 12-month period. Some of those arriving today will have strong legal cases stating the international refugee treaties and federal asylum laws, but will not have a formal asylum hearing until 2021. So the question is, at least they're not being put in a prison until that time, but they're going to be able to stay. But the flow of migrants has reached record levels, with February totaling 560% above those for the same period last year. As many as 27,000 children are expected to cross the border to enter immigration enforcement in April alone. So crowded are border facilities that some of the nearly 3,500 migrants in custody were herded under a bridge behind razor wire earlier this month. So, yeah, that's how bad it is at this point. Infectious disease is everywhere, a Border Patrol union leader said. It's dangerous for our agents. It's dangerous for the detainees who don't have anything. And for once, he's not talking about the actual immigrants. He's talking about a real disease. It's that bad. You very well could get talking about how you very well could get infected here, and the people in the camp very well could get infected. And it's pretty much a madhouse down by the border. There's really nothing to know at this point. It's very hard to get a handle on. So, all right. Yeah, when nearly all the votes from Tuesday's election counted, Benjamin Netanyahu now poised to form a government after the centrist blue and white alliance led by Benny Gantz conceded. Mr. Netanyahu is now on track to become Israel's longest-serving prime minister. The result attests to the starkly conservative vision of Israeli voters, and it's been that way for a long time. Yeah, so the election solidified a sense of a sense around the Middle East that Israel can do as it wishes with American support, and I think has broadly got that right. But the thing is, Netanyahu's victory means a peace deal with the Palestinians will also still remain elusive, because it's going to be very hard for them to really trust anything that Benjamin Netanyahu has put on the table, given what he's said and done over his very long, his too long, in my opinion, career. Because a lot of people, I talk to Jews that I know, and I haven't met. I'll be honest, I haven't talked to everyone. But I haven't met anyone who's happy with they don't think this Benjamin Netanyahu is really going to take the country in the right direction. But they just here in America, and we don't know really what people are going to say when trying to, like, of course, talk to them in Israel. So it's really very much up for debate there. But it's very, very telling, very, very telling to see, and interesting to see that kind of take place. But yeah, so the edge of the cliff in Brexit has been officially pushed back as the EU leaders agreed to push the deadline for Britain's departure from the bloc to stave off a chaotic no-deal exit that would have been scheduled for Friday. Prime Minister Theresa May of Britain has proposed a postponement until June 30th. While many European leaders found such a deadline unrealistic, they agreed to review the arrangement at the end of June. So that's what they have at this point. Donald Tusk, the European Council president, showed the extension. Said that said the extension should be enough to complete the process if Britain showed, quote, goodwill, unquote. He told the British, please do not waste this time. Yeah, Britain will almost certainly have to hold elections for the European Parliament on May 23rd, which is going to have to anger hardline Brexit supporters because they thought since Brexit was going out, we're not going to. We thought we'd be done. No more of this. That's pretty much what they're going to do, and no one's really going to be happy with that at all. All right, so yeah. William Barr is back at Congress for a second day, and he said the government surveilled the Donald Trump presidential campaign, and he was preparing to review both the genesis and the conduct of that inquiry. I think spying on a political campaign is a big deal. He said, yeah, and I think, yeah, probably. It'd be interesting to know who done it and possibly why, and if they really did, because that kind of has to do with the release the memo thing, like that avenue. And it's going to be very interesting to see what and how William Barr conducts himself. And I don't really think anyone should trust William Barr. Like, I don't think anything he's done really says, oh, we should have his trust. But I don't know. Yeah. Barr has offered more details on the Russian investigation by the special counsel Robert Mueller, adding he hoped the redacted report be released next week as well, so that's going to be very interesting to watch. But obviously, William Barr is going to send a lot of MAGA people into some craziness with the fact that he says the Trump campaign is being spied on. The question is, how credible is his claims, and really, how credible is he? That's a question very much in the air, and something time will tell. So the Treasury Department declined to immediately give President Trump's tax returns to Congress, saying it needed more time to assess the lawfulness of the requests. There's a lot we could learn from some of those documents. We'll get to that right now. For starters, his recent returns, this is from the New York Times, could eliminate the sources of income and tax avoidance strategies he may have used, but it would not fully decode the family's personal and business finances that so many people have been wondering about, especially on the left wing of American politics. But leaked pages of the president's old tax returns and other financial documents have already shed light on some of his finances. They indicate that Trump most likely avoided paying income taxes for a number of years, and other periods, the New York Times found, he participated in fraudulent tax schemes to minimize his tax bills. His federal ethics filings show hundreds of millions of dollars in outstanding loans in a business network owned through a web of corporate entities. The House Ways and Means Committee last week requested 6 years of President Trump's personal tax returns, along with the returns filed by one of his trusts and 7 subsidiaries he controls. They asked also for records of any of his audits, and it's interesting because his big excuse is, "Oh yeah, I've been on audit all this time, and I can't really help it. It's not going to work." But no, maybe you're full of BS here. It's very possible. All right, so. Yeah, even if Representative Richard Neal, the Democrat who leads the committee, is successful, it does not mean the tax returns will become public. By law, they're supposed to remain solely in the hands of the committee. An unauthorized release would be a felony. Yeah, we're going to find out how much Mr. Trump's worth, who Trump is in business with, and how he makes his money. It'll be all very interesting stuff. And also, the question is Trump cheating on his taxes? We'll find all that out. Speaking of someone who may be in a little bit of trouble, Gregory Craig, you don't know who that is? Not surprising. He's a White House counsel during the Obama administration. He's expected to be indicted On charges related to his work for Ukraine, his lawyer said his case stemmed from an investigation initiated by Robert Mueller's office.